political agenda, and what steps should we be taking now? Okay, so that already I think raises lots of interesting questions about like how we define the working class, what are working class issues, and what not to mention questions of political strategy and tactics, etc. Okay, so James is going to go first. Kevin first. Okay. So I'm delighted to introduce Kevin Doyle. Many of you will know Kevin as an activist of very long standing in Cork. He's been involved in many campaigns over the years. But as it's also a book fair, he's also a celebrated writer of short stories and novels. So his commitments range from the artistic to the political and back again. So,
very kind. So I was thinking, I asked to speak first in a way, because I think maybe what I have to say might be a good background to the discussion, and in a way, maybe it'll fit in with what James is going to say. And maybe there's another factor that I might be telling you things here and what I have to say that you probably all know very well already. But I still think it's important sort of groundwork to go over. So without further ado, I was looking at the name, but putting the working class first, and what I was thinking about. Another way to look at that title is to say, does the class struggle matter? And I wanted to look at that question from the other side, from the point of view of the wealthy. Does the class struggle matter to them? And I've come across not so long ago a very good quote from Warren Buffett. Somebody probably heard it already, but he was asked about this issue from the point of view of the rich and the very wealthy. You know, Buffett, I asked the AI bot about Buffett, who he is and so on, and he's basically one of the most successful investors in history, known as the Oracle of Omaha, for his remarkable ability to pick with winning stocks. And he's chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, a multinational that has high stakes in companies like Apple, Coca-Cola, and so on. And beyond his wealth, Buffett is widely admired for his frugality, for his wit and philanthropy, and he's pledged to give away a large amount of his fortune, primarily to the AIDS Foundation. So he's a kind of a capitalist with a human face, if you want to put it that way. And he's also a very honest person. And what Buffett said about the class struggle, he said, there is a class struggle going on, all right, absolutely. He said, but it's my class, he says, the rich class, that is making war. And he says, it's my class, the rich class, that is winning the war. And I think there's absolutely loads to be learned from that clear statement by him, because we often don't hear it put so basically. And he's saying three things, I think, to reiterate. The class war is ongoing. We know that, but he's saying it absolutely is. He's clear that his class, the rich, are on the offensive, which is absolutely apparent in another way too. And three, he's upfront in saying that the wealthy are winning the class war. So I think that's a kind of a background that we can start from. What does that entail in reality? I think I'll briefly outline the extent of inequality today, but you all kind of know the general picture. Inequality is huge and getting worse. On a worldwide scale, an Oxfam report showed in 2018 that 42 people on the planet, just 42, own the same amount of wealth as the poorest 3.7 billion individuals. I could go on, there's so much statistics on this now, but one very interesting one that's there that kind of puts it well as well is the one from the Times Rich List, which was only first published in 1989. And there they recorded that in 1989 a rich person had 6,000 times the wealth of an average person, but today it's 18,000 times. So that's the sort of picture that's happened over the last number of decades as the class war has been waged by the rich. So putting this in a historical perspective, inequality now is heading back in the direction and closely approaching the levels of wealth to income ratios that were observed in the late 19th century and 20th century, commonly regarded as one of the most unequal periods in modern human history as capitalism was really taking off. So while in some respects people will often say it is all about money, I think there's another way to look at this that I think is more significant for us, because I don't think it is just about money. It's actually about power. And that is what the wealthy have been really fighting to regain, perhaps, or gain more of in the last 30 years. The rich have taken power by undermining the security of workers right across the board in huge numbers of areas. They've undermined trade union power, they've undermined solidarity, they've fundamentally altered the